No matter what industry you're in, challenge the way things get done. Because more often than not, there is always a better way. That's certainly the experience of Steffan Van Lint, the founder of Quiz Meisters, one of Australia's largest and certainly most fun pub trivia companies. It's a trivial episode 592 of the 12-year-old, award-winning Small Business Big Marketing podcast.
Well, I said, welcome to a small business marketing show, where successful small business owners share their souls to take your marketing straight to the lead. Now, here's your host, Mr. Tim Reid.
And welcome back to your weekly dose of Brainiac Marketing. I'm your host, Timbo Reid, and I have an insatiable curiosity for uncovering marketing ideas that help businesses of all sizes, of all industries, just like yours, to grow. How do I do that? By having in-depth conversations, deep and meaningfuls, DMs, as I think we spoke about them at school, with successful business founders from around this crazy world. You, infinitely more importantly, are a motivated business owner ready to crank out some great marketing to build that beautiful business of yours into the empire that it absolutely deserves to be. And guess what? That is exactly what we do around here. So well done to you for finding this podcast. If you've been listening for a long time, thank you. If you are new, welcome. Please subscribe, sit back and enjoy. Because as per usual, team, there is marketing GOLD dripping from the ceiling over here at Small Business Big Marketing's HQ. So let's get stuck right in. You've heard me talk about some webinars I've been hosting of recent weeks. We did two a few weeks ago on incentive-based marketing with John Dwyer. I've got one coming up on Thursday, May 5 at midday. Now, it's on outsourcing. Now, the premise of these webinars is quite simple. I listen out for and identify problems that I know you beautiful business owners are having, and then I go and find the best person in the world to answer your questions, to make it easy, to shine a light on a part of marketing that I believe you should really be embracing. Like I said, this one's on outsourcing. It's with a wonderful fellow, Jeff Collinson. He's an Australian guy living overseas in the Philippines. He's on the ground. He knows what he's doing, and he's going to come in and answer all your outsourcing questions. Now, I don't have a registration page up right now. I know, lazy, but I've had COVID and I'm just sort of coming back into the game, you know. But just head over to smallbusinessbigmarketing.com and register. Just give me your email address and I'll send you my 10 Marketing Wake-Up Calls ebook, and then you're on my list and you'll be the first to know about my webinar. Or join the Facebook tribe, the Small Business Big Marketing Facebook tribe, and you'll also be the first to know. Great news on upcoming guests. We've got Amanda Walker, the founder of Lord of the Fries, not Flies, Lord of the Fries. Great Australian franchise that sells fries. And Declan Lee of Gelato Messina. He's the founder of one of the coolest ice cream shops going around. So plenty coming up there. And people are asking about where to get my book, The Boomerang Effect. Well, just head over to smallbusinessbigmarketing.com and grab a copy that'll teach you all about helpful marketing. Steffan Van Lint is the co-founder of Quiz Meisters and has worked in the pub trivia industry for longer than he hasn't. That's a good stat. Starting Quiz Meisters in 2004, he's helped shape every aspect of that business, including entertainment production, customer experience, customer service, creative design, as well as business development. The way Steffan has gone about this is what makes this chat really, really useful for any business owner who's itching to break out of the same old routine, who wants to stop doing the same old thing time and time again for the same old results. Steffan is all about challenging the conventions of his category. So join me as he shares how he approaches innovation, the 4 words that determine all his decision-making, his secrets to effective local area marketing and community building, and how Quizmeisters survived COVID, given they depend on pubs to be opened in order to make a buck. I started off in the most obvious of ways by giving Steffan a taste of his own medicine. Now, my first question to you, Steffan, is which 2 body parts continue to grow throughout your whole life?
Oh, man. See, everyone thinks just because you run a trivia business that you're good at trivia. And I got to get this on the record now. I suck at trivia. That's why I ask the questions and not answer them. However, I'll take a stab. Did you say keep growing after?
I'm sorry, mate. As a trivia master, I can't repeat the question.
Ears. It's the ears and fingernails. I don't know.
Well, I thought it'd be fingernails too. Ears is one of them.
Okay.
Nose is the other.
There we go.
And fingernails, I think, continue to grow after you leave this crazy world. So, anyway, mate, we've established something up front.
Yes.
You're a plumber with a squeaky tap, basically.
Exactly right.
It can only get better. Now, I did a Google search on Quiz Meisters, and I like what came up in terms of the initial line at the top of the search, which says Quiz Meisters trivia, but good.
That's us.
That says to me, many years ago when you started Quiz Meisters, you realised you were entering a broken industry. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, definitely. I was hosting trivia for, another trivia company back in the day when trivia was pretty standard of ask a few questions, play some music, say who's this artist from the 80s, and that was the kind of extent of it. And I guess I came from an entertainment background and was putting a lot more into my shows, and it was, I don't know, there was an opportunity to do something that was more fun and create a show that I would want to go to. Like I was 23 at the time when we started the business, and that was the challenge, just to create a trivia night that was aimed at us, not at, most of the other crowds were kind of 40 plus. Yeah, that was the challenge at the start.
You got a problem with 40-plus-year-olds?
No, I'm 40 plus myself now, so this keeps me young. So,
Steffan, what was the process? So it's a while back now, and it was a very mature, I must say, approach for a 23-year-old to go, that industry's busted, we're going to do things differently. Was it a formal process where you sat down with a bunch of trusted advisors and said, okay, these are the things they get wrong, here's the opposite, what we're going to do? What's it? You got a smile on your face.
No, look, we definitely didn't do things by the book and like, hey, this is how you start a business. Through university, I got involved in a competition called SIFE. It was Students in Free Enterprise. I think they've rebranded to Enactus now. And basically, it's like this international comp that gets university teams to help set up businesses in society that help people in that group. So usually low socioeconomic areas. And Melbourne University did really well. They won the national title, and then they were looking for some better presenters for the World Cup over in Germany. And my name came up. I was on hiatus between my honours and degree, and suddenly I was brought into this team. And we got all this training from like all these different CEOs and the news presenters, and like we just got so many resources and access to all this opportunity that you just wouldn't get anywhere else. And because we were representing Australia and the University of Melbourne, it was like, we've got to win this, guys. So everything was literally thrown at us. Like Country Roads sponsored us and Qantas sponsored, like we just, all this stuff was thrown at us. And so that opened up my eyes to like, hey, there's a lot of opportunity here and there's a lot of things that can be done. And we went over to Germany and we came third, which was great. And we got exposed to a lot of different businesses, and there's a lot of people there kind of looking to poach these people. And I got a few job offers to come when I came back to Australia. But everyone else had to go back to study. I got to travel a little bit longer, and it was on that trip where it was kind of like, maybe there's an opportunity here to do this thing that I've learnt to do quite well now. Like I got really good at hosting trivia while I was at uni, and suddenly I was near the end of my degree and trying to work out, do I do psych, do I do film? And I was like, maybe I just try this. And that was the challenge. Came back to Australia, put it to a friend and said, hey, let's give this a crack. And about 4 months later, we did our first show.
How fantastic. How'd it go?
Really good. So we thought it was going to be such a struggle to find gigs, and we came up with this crappy little brochure with Jokerman font and walked in and said, this is what we do. and they were like, this is great. And they got us in first gig. And it was, what was it called? The Commercial Club Hotel in North Fitzroy.
Oh, North Fitzroy. Okay.
Yeah. And it was a good uni crowd. And that's why we kind of went there first.
Yeah,
I used to like hanging out there as a uni student. And we had like 80 something people at the first show. And within 6 weeks, there was like 120 people. Like it was jam packed. And it was very different to what was on offer back then. Like it was just a very unique show and quite left of field. So we had a bit of an underground following.
I love interviewing business owners like yourself, Steffan, where the 1%ers, all the small things are really, really important, because in a world of parity, there's no shortage of trivia quiz companies. There's no shortage of marketing guys. You know, like there's a lot of everything, right?
Absolutely.
So it's those 1%ers that have the ability to separate the good from the bad. I read somewhere where you said for every big moment in a Quiz Meisters show, there's a heap of little moments that keep it special. We put a lot of thought into literally everything we do to give you and your customers the best night out we can, which is awesome, because often the 1%ers are forgotten.
Yeah,
we sort
definitely.
of think, we're almost there. That'll enough. You know, good enough is good enough. Give us some examples of 1%ers that do create a point of difference for your business.
I think like within the show itself, there's a lot of little bits of humor, and there's a lot of little hidden Easter eggs as well, that you can go to a show for quite a few months and eventually you start to realize, like there's a game that's called Guess These Credits, and we show the credits of a film and you've got to work out what the movie is from the credits. And there's always a sandwich maker in there, and that sandwich maker is always one of our trivia hosts. And so like even little things like that, people don't really realize it, but then when the host has their name come up, they go, oh my God, what? And the whole crowd reacts and it becomes this kind of in-joke. So there's
hang on. I don't get that. The sandwich maker is one of your hosts?
Yeah, so you've got like, you know, his producer was this person and here's the cast, Keanu Reeves and blah, blah, blah. And then in the credits, it says sandwich maker and we have the name of one of our hosts.
Right.
So they're hosting, they don't know, they're looking at the screen and then their name comes up on screen as giving them the sandwich maker credit to this movie credit. And so it's little things like that. And we kind of like to take a concept and just make it a bit more left field. So rather than showing films, for example, and say, hey, what's this film that the scene is, we reenact them instead. So we just get our office staff to reenact them as good as they can. They're usually quite crap. And it's very fun. Like we're always looking at how do we make something that is somewhat normal, like take this kind of theatrical or cinematic device that everyone is used to and what they expect, and just twist it a little bit so it's full of all these little delightful moments that you pick up throughout the experience, because that's the thing that makes people walk away and remember, oh, that was cool. That was like all these little moments.
That's the thing that it makes it interesting for you, the business owner. It makes it interesting for the talent that you've got going around to the various pubs around the place and emceeing these. And it makes it interesting for the people attending, because it's not your average trivia night. One thing I noticed as you're talking is you use the word show. So to me, it's pretty clear that positioned in your mind and those who work for Quiz Meisters, that you are actually putting on a show, as opposed to, say, the one man or woman trivia host who goes to a pub and thinks they're just there to MC, ask some questions, deliver the answers, hand over a prize.
Yeah,
this is not how you look at things, is it?
No, like we produce everything like we would produce a TV or radio show, and we train our hosts how to host that, and we teach them, okay, these are the little bits, and think about how you're speaking and how you like speeding up your speech here and then slowing things down when you've got to, you know, get your point across. And we really sort of teach that craft of putting on a show and getting the audience to give you attention, and even small things. Like we'll teach them to be like, consistently bring your music, you know, put it up nice and loud when you're not talking, and then bring it down and talk straight away. And as soon as you're not talking, put that music back up. And you're subconsciously teaching the audience to attend to you, and then when the music goes back up, Pavlov's dog, they go back to their team. And so you're teaching them these little tricks that are production tricks that focus people's attention back and forth. And yeah, we do definitely produce it as a show, and we try to get everyone on board to understand that, hey, you know, this is to have some fun and get people involved.
Does going through that process, Steffan, mean that you can charge more?
You'd like to think that, Tim. It's a weird industry where the price that we charge pretty much hasn't changed since we started. If anything, it's actually got a little bit less because...
Really?
Yeah, because the competition has just saturated the market. And the challenge for us is to really show the difference between us and the small fry, because we do put a lot more into the shows. And we do it because we produce it for 100 shows a week for around the country. And that allows us to put a high production value into it and make the shows a lot better. But then you've got all these smaller companies that don't do that, and they don't put that extra effort in, and they just charge the same amount. But because people don't know that there's difference between trivia, they just go, okay, well, that's the going rate for trivia. So,
gee, that's a real challenge. I don't know how you could have maintained. How can you still be in business when you're charging the same, if not less, than you were? How many years ago? You started
18 years ago. We turned 18 2 weeks ago. So
happy birthday!
Thank you.
Have you tried? How elastic is pricing? Have you tried to double your price and see what happens? Have you tried to communicate the value that you offer versus the other dog and pony shows?
We've had other concepts that we've brought in more premium, and for pubs, they've got to make enough money on top in order to make it worthwhile. So for us, like per show, we end up making a lot because it's all about scalability. And we factored that in the very early days. Like we didn't start the company to be like, hey, let's just do a few shows and see how we go. Like the aim was, let's get to 100 shows. So scalability was always a part of it. Like how do we produce something that keeps the quality really good, but how do we make it that if we're producing this for one show or 200 shows, it's no different, that when we're able to still roll it out the same. So that's been a big part of us, and eventually that difference does get seen. And especially now after COVID, where everything's coming back, everyone's had a bit of a reset and they're reassessing what they're looking for. And we worked really hard over COVID to kind of change a lot of the things that we wanted to make us, be a better company. Because of that, I think the distance between us and our competition is a lot bigger and a lot more obvious. And we seem to be doing quite well from that. Like just in the last few weeks, we're getting a lot of calls from venues who have other trivia companies that are just like, these guys, they're just not doing the job. Can we get you in? So it is working. It does work long term. Like we are in it for the long term gain. And stick to your values and you kind of eventually get there.
Well, you mentioned values, really interesting. I note that you have 4, I guess you call them values, but 4 words that drive every business decision: fun, funny, innovative, interesting.
Yeah.
These are 4, I guess, are they values that you apply to any time you're confronted with a decision as to whether to employ a host or to create a new segment?
Definitely.
Those are the... Yeah, awesome, man. How did you arrive at those words? Was that something you tripped over, or again, was that a very important planning session?
It was, a bit of both. Like it was one of those ones that we kind of grew into. But about 5-6 years ago, I kind of took the whole business through a bit of a process of we wanted to find out where we could improve and where we could fix up any problems. I like to look at chronic issues in a business, and they're the hardest ones to change, and they're the ones that if you do change, they make the biggest benefit later on. So yeah, we went through, we did like 140 question quiz to all of our employees around the country, and there was like about 8 sections of different parts of the business, and we just brought
140 questions.
Yeah, we paid them to do it.
Oh, okay. You bribed them. I was going to say, as a trivia company, it sounds like you're taking the piss out of your employees. Hey, here's 140 questions, guys. Go for gold. Yeah. So 140 questions. What did you pay them? And
I think we paid them $50 or $80 or something like that to do it.
Okay.
Look, it improved a lot of services for them, but for us, it brought in a lot of data that we could actually work off. And from that, we got to identify, okay, here are all the problems. So we kind of listed all those out. And then you start to group them together and be like, okay, what one change can change the most of these problems? And you try to work out that. And through that, there was also a bit of a marketing thing. Like we're asking, what words do you describe people as Quiz Meisters being? Or how do you feel about Quiz Meisters and that sort of stuff? And so through that process, you get all these different words and then you pull them out. And eventually we came up with fun, funny, innovative, and dynamic.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And there was a 5th one, just good trivia. That was the other side of it, that if you could get all 5 of those things into our show. Like every segment that we come up with has to go through that. And if they don't meet enough of those, we just say, nah, next.
That's awesome, brother, because you hear this kind of philosophy a lot, core values, personality, mission statement, vision, often which become just words on paper. And, a lot of effort's put into getting those words together, but then they're not applied. So the fact that you are actually applying them, I think is evidence why you're doing so well. The 140 questions, I imagine there'd be a few business owners listening to that going, that's just an opportunity for my staff to whinge. Was it a whinge fest, or did you actually get some genuinely good ideas from it?
Yeah, I got some both. The whinging is actually kind of important. Like what we look like. This goes back to my data nerd days of psychology at uni. But like you're looking for what is the common things, but what are the outliers as well? Sometimes you can pull that in, and in a lot of business situations, I think those outliers can represent a minority voice that everyone might be feeling, but only a few of them are brave enough to express it. So you never ignore them. You kind of go, okay, maybe there's an issue there. And if that's the small crack that we're looking for, let's patch that up before it becomes a bigger crack. And it's a weird process that we did, and it kind of got us a 3-year plan to be like, okay, here's the things that we can implement over the next few years in order to improve all these problems. And then COVID hit, and we're like, let's do it in 6 months. So we had nothing else to do.
But that's awesome. COVID could have significantly impacted a business like yours. And I do these keynotes at various chambers of commerce and to audiences of business owners, and there haven't been that many during COVID. But coming out of COVID, they're back, and I am out there speaking. And it is a little bit hard to talk about when so many businesses have been negatively affected. It's pretty hard to offer up marketing ideas to say this is what you've got to go and do, because they're just scrambling to stay alive.
For sure.
I like hearing. I don't know how you did, and part of. I'd love to know, how did you stay alive during COVID? Given cash flow must have just revenue must have dropped significantly. The fact that you actually use that time to survey your staff and implement some new ideas is awesome. So how did you stay afloat?
Like as soon as that first week of things, when there was the whisper of venues closing and that sort of thing, we were already looking to go, okay, how do we bring us online? So how do we keep that audience engaged and do that? And with, I think from the Friday when everything shut down, when they were announced that all pubs were closing and we're going into lockdown, we had a show by the following Tuesday online. And
get out.
Yeah, and it was great. Like we've got a great creative team that we've just like that whole week we started before the lockdown happened going, okay, this is looking like we're going to go into some sort of lockdown or we're going to lose a lot of shows here. How do we make this an online experience? And that's what we just try to work out problems and work out which platform we should use. And
that's awesome. There's a lot of questions in there. How did you move so quickly? Is that just the nature of your business and people inside your business are geared to do that? And secondly, who was that targeted at? Who was the audience at the other end of that trivia night on the Tuesday after COVID was announced?
Yeah. There was a couple of things because, answer your first part, we had a really good creative team. Pre-COVID, we had our operations, week-to-week operations were down in Melbourne in our headquarters, so to speak. And then I had a team up in Brisbane that focused more on business development and creative development. Like we were the flexible team that would take on a problem and try to, smash it out. So when COVID hit, it was like, okay, let's try and do this. And that became our big thing. And within that, there was a few things that happened. My business partner at the time, he wanted to exit for he'd sort of shown the last 2 years that he was looking for a way to exit out of the business. So when COVID hit, it just kind of became a good time to go, okay, maybe this is the exit point, which we were in a pretty expensive warehouse office in Collingwood. And we managed to, we had a pretty good relationship with the owners and we managed to get out of that lease before we were locked into that over lockdown. So that saved us a lot of money. And we basically moved the business up to Brisbane. So we chucked everything in a big box and shipped it up. And we had tenants downstairs that at my house we kicked out, and we basically moved the office into there, which was good because previously engineers that we bought it off, they ran their office from downstairs. So it was all set up for an office, which was really good. So basically, all these little things happened that we got to quickly reduce a lot of costs, and we unfortunately had to let everyone know that, hey, we there's no work now. So we basically kept a skeleton team to do these online shows, and we started looking at doing merch and created a scheme where each of our venues could get a code on the merch, and any one that they sent through to the merch store would get a kickback, and the same with our hosts.
Yep.
So we were trying to look at ways to go, how do we keep our audience engaged, which is technically the audience of the pubs.
Yes.
But they can't go to the pub anymore. So how do we keep them engaged so when things do reopen that they are more likely to return back to the pubs? That was the big challenge. And it was good. Like within, I think our third week, we had 8,000 people watching live.
What?
Yeah. So
Paying?
no. So at the start, it was all free. So it was about keeping them engaged and just trying to work out a process. In hindsight, wish we had paid $1 to participate.
Sure. Would you sell much merch off the back of that?
Yeah, we sold a bit of merch, and we started to look at other online products that we could do. So we started doing like private online shows because we had so many in real life corporates booked. They all got moved online. And then we started to develop more programs. So we did like a spelling bee called Splelling Bee, where we purposely misspelt the title.
Oh, you're funny.
And just, we started to go, okay, how else can we use these online platforms? And we tested so many different platforms to try to work out, okay, what's the best one that we can do here? And just really tried to rapidly come up with innovate these different ideas.
I mean, that's incredibly impressive. Within a week of COVID being announced, you're running an online trivia show with an audience, or 3 weeks in actually, wasn't it? With an audience of 7,000 to 8,000.
Yeah, we started with about 3,000 at our first show, I think, and then it grew.
Can you quantify what that's done for your business? I'm not post-COVID, we're still in COVID, but like, what's that done for your business 2 years down the track? And while you think about that, it sounds like it's forced you to be even more innovative.
Well, I think we look at it from how has it affected our audience, and we have so many people that have reached out and said, thank you so much for those online shows. They really got us through COVID. It was the one thing we looked towards. Actually, even just walking in here, Romy, the producer, just said, I watched your live stream shows like every week. It was great. So I'm like, awesome. So to hear those stories, it's so good because we kept them connected in this kind of community, which is a big part of our brand, is to create communities. And we kept that community alive when they couldn't be a community in person. It also gave us this confidence to explore other avenues away from pub trivia, and it gave us other opportunities to innovate because we were using tech that we otherwise probably wouldn't have gone so deep into the research of. Yeah, it just created a whole lot of other avenues for the business.
Let's talk about creating community because, again, what business doesn't want to create community, whether it be literally local or virtual global communities? Do you have some kind of secret sauce that has enabled you to create really engaged communities?
Look, I think we want to create a show or a brand that people want to identify with. So you're creating something that they identify with, and then they go off and almost like we represent them, and then they in return start to represent us. And you're creating a symbiotic relationship of them coming down and going, oh, this is cool. And we like to sort of push those levels where they feel comfortable, but they're also enchanted at the same time.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones where they're like, oh, yeah, you should come down and check out the show. It's really cool. It's got these, a segment called Porn Star My Little Pony, or there's this sound collector who's really creepy, but it's just funny. And like, they're the things that people will go on and tell that story to. So what we try to do is create a strong brand that has all these little moments that people can identify with and remember and talk about, and then rally them in each week of this platform that is reliable, and they understand that like the process and everything of it, but it's still full of these little delightful moments that catch them out. The aim then is to empower the venues to do that. So we do that on a brand level and online, and we get our hosts to do it. And then the real challenge is then when we partner up with a venue to go through the process of like, hey, here are the things that can really improve your chances of growing a big trivia show, and here's the things to try and avoid. So we really sit down with them and say, let's not rush it. Let's do the promo right. Here's the messaging you kind of want to put out. And we even came up with an 8-week promo plan for those that aren't great at marketing, that they can literally copy, paste, download the content and put it to their social media.
Okay, just talking about that. So you've got 2 marketing challenges. One is to get in front of venue managers.
Yes.
And say, hey, you need a quiz night and we're the best in the business. So there's that challenge. Your second challenge is to get players into the venue, although I'm guessing that really is the job of the venue, but you give them a whole lot of ideas as to how to do that. So could we just start with how do you get in front of venue managers?
Yeah, for sure. Look, there's a whole lot of ways that we've tried over the years. And in all honesty, I don't know if I should be sharing this, but to our competitors leaving, we just find dropping in and having a chat to them is the most successful way of getting
just
in there.
Just literally dropping in, like a cold
call.
drop in?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I love face-to-face, and I think nothing beats face-to-face, but not even an appointment? Because obviously an appointment puts the Dobermans out, doesn't it? It's like, hang on, what are you trying to sell me? But
hospitality industry, there's certain times of the day that are a good time to pop in.
yes.
Sometimes we'll reach out first, but like in my experience, I think the cold drop-ins, finding the right person and just having a chat with them, working out, hey, what do you guys do? Where do you want to improve on? And let's see if we can help you out there. And then taking them through our process and I guess what we do. Yeah, there's a huge process, and we've kind of got like a sales presentation that we give our sales team, but it's a flexible one. It's choose your own adventure, work out what you need to talk about with them, and see if there is we don't look at it as a service, we look at it as a partnership. So very early on, we talk about that with our venues to be like, look, you can benefit from this, we can benefit from this, but we both have to do efforts. We're the experts in this. These are the things that we can't do, but you can do and you'll need to do. And if we both get this right, then we can both benefit from this for quite a long time afterwards. So that's the first challenge, is getting them on board and convincing them it's a good idea to take us on.
How do you close them?
In all honesty, we have a screen that says frequently asked questions, and it's like, what day of the week I should do, and blah, blah, blah. And then the final little one says, can I see a picture of a cool fish? And they always go on, I got to see the fish. And you click that and you show them a picture of a cool fish. And that's generally how we close the meetings, and it puts it on a nice light spin, and they get this idea of like, oh, wow, these guys are, very professional. They get it. They understand the promo. They understand the business, but they also like to have a bit of fun. So we kind of leave that there and then check in with them if they haven't signed up straight away. Yeah, and that's generally the best way to go about getting venues. But we also do get a lot that actually contact us, and a lot of that is through ongoing relationships. And like we tell our sales team, like, just get out there and talk to people. You don't have to close sales all the time. You just need to let people know that who we are and what we do, and why we think we're better than our competitors, because they end up moving to another venue, and they even 2 years down the road, you'll get a call and go, oh, you popped into my venue. I was working out at South Brisbane, and I've moved out to this one, and I thought of you guys recently to try and pick it up. So that's what it's about. It's not necessarily always about closing a sale. It's more about just getting the word out and creating a network of people understanding what we do.
Steffan, you mentioned earlier, it's all about building, in your own words, a strong brand, which I'm all for. A strong brand, one that has a strong emotional attachment between you and your buyer, your prospect, your customer. Visually, does Quiz Meisters appear to the public? Are they going to a Quiz Meisters show, or they're just going to a trivia show? And is the venue manager buying a Quiz Meisters show, or they don't care, they just want a good trivia show?
No, we push it pretty hard. Like, we tell our venues, make sure you push it as a Quiz Meisters show. Yeah. We have a lot of pull in the community, and we want them to get the advantage of all the stuff that we do in our own branding to be associated with that. So that's our job, is to do a really good job with the brand, make it engaging, make the content fun, and for them to associate that with their own pub and then get the benefits of that as well. So if we have shows that venues that do just advertise it as just a trivia night, we'll contact them and say, make sure you tag us, make sure you mention us. It's important to get that brand out there for us and for them. So
what marketing works best for the venues in order to attract a crowd in?
So we find that the best approach is to empower them to do a really good job. So we give them access to a resource library that has hundreds of assets of different videos and posters and digital things for stories and GIFs and everything like that. Mm-hmm. I think what's most important, like it's not just in pubs and bars, in a lot of businesses, they don't have time to promote. Like they're always short on time. So we've made it very easy where they've got it all laid out all the time. We're always giving them new content every month with new copy, and they can just literally go to the library, download, copy the copy, put that into their social media and go. We've even created GIFs, Quiz Meisters GIFs, that when you're using Instagram on stories, you just type in Quiz Meisters, take a photo of the crowd or the prize or whatever, and then it says trivia tonight and it's got a Quiz Meisters logo. So we've made that really easy so they can promote at that local level, because we can put a post on our social media about them, but we're a national audience, so it does get lost. So it's more effective if we give them all the tools to really ramp up that local promotion. And since we changed to that system, we kind of did that over COVID and really improved it. We've seen a huge improvement in numbers and longevity of shows.
Steffan, an awkward moment to finish. I'm sure earlier in this conversation you said the words porn star My Little Pony. Did I hear incorrectly?
No, that is.
I don't know what the context was.
That is one of our segments. It is a game called Porn Star or My Little Pony. It has its own fun song and animated intro to go with it. And we give you a name and you work out whether it's a porn star or a My Little Pony.
Oh, that is fun.
Do you want to play right now?
Just let's go. Let's go.
Let's see. Lickety Split.
Lickety Split, I am going to say, is a My Little Pony.
Ding! Correct. Well done.
Hey, there we go. That's a fun segment.
And our brand is we could just ask that as a normal question, but we've got a ridiculous song intro and, really ham that up to get to the question.
How do you manage the whole fact that we've all got the world's total information in our pockets? Do you just, is it a matter of trust? Do your trivia hosts, are looking out for people on their phones?
Most people that are playing trivia, we make the prizes not big enough that people are going to want to have to cheat.
Right.
And they're there because they want to be challenged. We have a lot of the video segments, kind of every third question is a video segment. And they're very hard to Google. You either know it or you don't.
You don't, yeah.
So there's a bit of a safeguard there. But, if you really wanted to go to the toilets and look on your phone and check, you could
Good luck
do
to
that.
you.
But in all honesty, people don't really cheat. I probably shouldn't say this because people are going, oh, really? So if I cheated, I could win all these shows.
Yeah. Well, geez, what possibly, how you do SWOT analysis on businesses. It's, what is it? Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. Maybe one of the greatest threats to your business is what Elon Musk is working on, which is this neural pathway chip that gets implanted into your head, which I think initially he's using it to address brain injuries and spinal injuries. But hey, after that's all sorted, I could just think the answer and it'll come to me and you won't even know.
But is that fun?
It's no fun at all.
No fun.
I don't want anything implanted in my head, but you know, it's going to happen.
It's not Googling things isn't fun.
It's not fun at all.
That's what they'd be doing. A whole pub of people Googling in their brains.
It's particularly not fun when the result comes back. I don't even look anymore, but you know how it says 683 million matches? It's what? That information's irrelevant. I'm not going to look past page 1 anyway because I don't know if there is a page 2 of Google. So whatever's on page 1 is going to address it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Googling is not fun. It's amazing, but it's not
very
fun.
Impressive, yeah. Because that's the best part of trivia. We do all this stuff throughout the night that people try to get them laughing, but really it comes down to the reveal of the answer where people have that emotional reaction of
yeah, yeah. And then your girlfriend slaps you on the shoulder because you convinced her that you had the right answer, whereas actually her answer was the correct one. Happens all the time to me.
Yeah.
Hey, Steffan, awesome story, brother. If people want to book or go to a Quiz Meisters show, they can check your website out at Quiz Meisters. That's meisters.com. And get amongst it because, I think we need to get out more, buddy. It's too much sort of staring at screens at home.
That's
Get
right.
out there and answer a few questions.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it's great to be back out in pubs, to be honest, and seeing people respond and get that community vibe again. And it's been a really good uptake after COVID, and I hope there's other activities as well that are really bouncing back strong because we need it.
We do, brother. Thanks, Steffan.
Thank you, Tim.
Well, there you go, team. Quiz Meisters founder Steffan Van Lint. What a good fellow with some good stuff to share. You'll find links to anything we mentioned over at smallbusinessbigmarketing.com/592. But more importantly, let me know what your big takeaway was from that chat or any other episode you'll listen to for that matter by calling the Small Business Big Marketing hotline on 0480 015 150, just like new business owner Tamela did.
Hi, Timbo. This is Pamela. I'm from Kiama, south coast of Sydney. I'm creating a new product, and I've never had a product business before. So it's always been service. And I've only just discovered your podcast. My partner introduced me a couple of weeks ago, and I've listened to 3 or 4 every day. I'm absolutely loving it. I would love it if you could recommend some that's specifically, it's a novelty product that I'm developing, and I'm going to get trademarked and everything. And it's literally early days. I've just bought the domain name and, signing up the social media pages and all that, and then still in the process of getting the product made and designed, and took your advice, Studio One Design. So I listened to that podcast. That was great. That was very helpful. And the SEO one, which was also very helpful. And anything else that you could recommend that would be great for me to begin with. I have no knowledge in marketing, so you're my first. I would, appreciate any feedback. And hopefully one day I could be on your show and share my Empire Enterprise story. And, thank you. Well, have a wonderful weekend. Bye.
Thank you so much, Tamela, for making the time as you start a new business to call the Small Business Big Marketing hotline. Good on you. Novelty product, hey? Got me wondering what it is. Other episodes to listen to? I would have a listen to episode 587 with Philip Cooch, who has absolutely mastered TikTok. Why do I suggest you listen to that one? Given that I'm not, the world's greatest proponent of social media. I think as starting a new business, you want to get some traction pretty early and build an audience, build a list of raving fans. And I think TikTok might be a really fun way of doing that. And Philip takes you exactly through how to do that, episode 587. Have a listen to episode 470 with Melanie Perkins. She's the founder of Canva. It's one of the great Australian success stories. I think when I interviewed Melanie, it was valued at like 3.8 billion. I think it's valued at well over 12, 15 billion these days. And she's like 32. So inspirational. And if you're talking about inspiration, episode 418 with Michelle Bridges, where she talks about JFDI, the just friggin' do it kind of attitude that will enable you to bring something to life with a lot of fun, with a lot of passion, and with a lot of intent. So there you go. I'll put links in those episodes in the show notes over at smallbusinessbigmarketing.com/592. Everyone else, I'd love to hear from you. Put this number in your phone and give me a buzz sometime. 0480 015 150. Well, that almost brings us to the end of another episode of your favourite marketing podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to hit the subscribe button, please, and leave a review on your favourite podcast app. It really does help us podcasters not only hear what you're thinking, but it does have a positive impact on the algorithm of the various podcast directories. Within those directories, you'll also find 591 more chats with successful business founders that I've had. So it's a bit of gold just lying around there. If you're ready to create some helpful marketing, then grab a copy of my book, The Boomerang Effect, over at smallbusinessbigmarketing.com. If not, hey, that's life. That's cool. Thanks for tuning in, though. May your marketing be the absolute best marketing. Bye for now.